Hi, we're going to be talking now about contemporary expertise tables. I know lots of people have had some difficulty with these, so hopefully this presentation is going to make things a little bit easier for people. A couple things that I think will be helpful for you to know are: one, this is a requirement by the CAATE that we submit this information for every single individual who serves as a preceptor throughout the academic year. And that could mean that you served as a preceptor for a very brief period of time, or you served as a preceptor for a long time, you put in lots of hours and you worked with several individuals. It doesn't really matter as long as you were a preceptor. This is information that they want us to collect. They can ask us to provide this information to them at any time. We do collect it based upon the academic year, but they could ask us to submit it in February. So it's really helpful if people continue to complete these as they kind of go throughout the year, and that will make it easier for you as a preceptor, and then also for the individuals who are on the education side who have to submit this information. One of the biggest things that I think clinicians and preceptors don't necessarily understand or have been told well is that these don't have to necessarily be continuing education units. These can be things that you have done to improve your skills or your knowledge at any point in time. And so these things could be, workshops and seminars and conventions, which is something that we typically submit. They can also be that you wrote a book chapter, or that you wrote a journal article, or that you presented at a major conference. But they can also be that you read a journal article, that you read a book chapter, that you listened to a blog, listened to a podcast, or that you read a blog. Anything like that is going to help improve your ability to perform skills, improve your understanding, and then because of that, you will be able to serve as a better preceptor to the students, is what they're really looking for. And the other thing about it is they aren't looking on these tables for you to put everything that you have done. You are asked to submit one or two areas that you would like to focus on within that academic year. And then they want you to only record on that document the things that you did during the academic year that pertain to those one or two expertise areas. So don't try to list every single thing that you did. That's not what they're looking for. They want to know, did you actually complete any kind of training or knowledge boost that pertain to those two areas that you chose? So a couple things that I would recommend that may help you in filling out the chart is, if you go to a conference, or you're on a blog, or you're in a webinar, take a screenshot or a photo of the title slide that has the name of the presenter, the title of the presenter. Sometimes, like on this particular photo that I took at a conference last summer, it tells you the name of the conference, the name of the presentation, the name of the presenter, all of like what they're doing and where they're from and everything. And this made it really easy for me to add this to my sheet. Sometimes the agendas are really good and they have all this information. So take a picture of the agenda and then mark the talks that you went to. Whatever is going to help you remember the pertinent information, I think, is going to behoove you, and then also us secondarily, to try to figure this information out. The other thing that I would say is try to complete the spreadsheet as you go. As you complete one of these tasks, it's just going to be easier to fill it out. If you did a whole bunch of stuff, say this summer, and then I'm going to ask to collect it, say next May, it's going to be real hard for you to remember exactly what you did, especially if they weren't all things that were in big seminars or conventions that you could maybe look them up online. So this is something that, again, will make things easier. And also, in the event that the CAATE contacts the education side and says, hey, we need these in a month, you as the preceptor don't have to scramble trying to figure out where you went or what individuals you listened to or what papers you read or where you presented really last minute. So just my 2 cents. Obviously, you don't have to do that, but just an idea. The other thing that I would say is it's going to be much better for you to put more detail down than less. What we found is sometimes people say, I went to NATA 2020 and super, but I need to know what presentations you actually went to and who spoke and all that kind of stuff. And so then they kind of have to scramble to figure that stuff out, which is why, again, I said take in a picture of the title slides or of the agendas, and then marking what you did is going to be real helpful. And then if you start running into issues, ask questions early. Look at the form and then say, hey, I don't get this or whatever, and then people can kind of help you out. This is the actual official form that we have to submit to the CAATE. Notice, super easy. You just put in your name, the role in the program, so clinical preceptor for most individuals, the academic year, the areas that you want to pursue your expertise, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then this is the form where we fill things out, and this is what I have to turn in. So notice how they want the date spelled out, like actually spell out the month, and I know this is kind of what it is, but it is what it is. And then this is actually a drop down, so you'll be able to select from the different options, and we'll talk about that in a second. And then it looks like this would be real easy to fill out, but unfortunately this gets confusing for people, and so they end up leaving out information. And so because of this, I have made a spreadsheet that I think will help people be able to collect the information that they need to put onto that table and make sure that they're not missing anything. And so notice academic year. When you fill it out for 1 year, it's just real easy. It should be the same thing the entire time. Your contemporary expertise, and we'll talk about what those are real quick. Actually, you know what? I'll just come over to this real quick. So prevention and wellness, urgent and emergent care, primary care, orthopedics, rehabilitation, behavioral health, pediatrics, performance enhancement, and then you can also select other. So these are the contemporary expertise topics that you can choose. Only 1 or 2 of these. Do not select all of them. Just pick the 1 or 2 that you really most want to select. The date, the exact date that you attended this session. Now, if you read a book over a month, then you would put the month, or you could say I started on this day and finished on this day, which I think is perfectly fine. That activity category, so again, when we come to this, it's a drop down, so it'd be a training, course, or CEU activity. Oops, that's spelled wrong. Clinical practice area, which is going to work real well for most preceptors, research area, and then other. And so the title of the session or activity, so you are just putting in whatever it is that it was titled that you went to, the title of the book, the not NETA, but this very specific lecture or talk or workshop that you went to, who presented. They want their actual names, and then the location. And for the location, and I made this legend, so as you can see, we've been flipping back and forth with it. The title of the session, I kind of give you some examples for the authors. And notice after the third person, if you have more than that, you can just put at all, kind of the same as what we think about for journals. And then for location, they're looking for city and state or city and country if it's international. If it's a convention, you would put NATA 2024 and then city and the state after that. Or the last thing that you could include on there is the website, if that's like, if you found it someplace. In addition, if it is a book, then you would also put that book information in there, or the journal information, and I will give those examples in a little bit. So if you, say, are a clinician and you have been practicing as a clinician for the entire year, you would just you can actually put that in there. So you would select clinical practice. You are I made these up because I'm the clinical education coordinator, but I'm the assistant athletic trainer at Augustana University. I work football and softball. This is located in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and that doesn't really apply, so I'm just going to leave that blank. Okay. Then say I go and present. So, and it's good to put these in numeric order. They really want them from beginning to end. So whatever you're going to start, it should be the oldest time, and then at the bottom it should be the most recent time. So then I did a presentation at SWATA. So it was about prevention and wellness. This is the date that I did it. It was a research area. The title of it was What Do You Need to Know About the 6 CISG Findings. It was at SWATA in Arlington, Texas, and Scott Bruce and myself gave that talk. And so I just underlined my name so that way they can see that I did that. So then say there's a clinical event and one of your athletes tears their ACL and you want to learn more about ACL rehabilitation. And you're kind of like a newer person, so you're just kind of Googling things and trying to figure out what's going on. So say you look up ACL rehab, and from that you come to the Physiopedia page and you find this, and so you copy the title of this website or blog that they have, and they have tons of information, and you copy the link that we have here. And then you would come to it and you would say, this is in rehabilitation, the date that you looked it up, this is other, because you didn't get any kind of CEUs or anything else for this. This was just for your general knowledge. This is the title of it, and then this is the website where it was located, and the authors were Physiopedia, the group. Okay. Then say you also use one of your textbooks. So you use Higgins' book, The Therapeutic Exercise from Theory to Practice, and you get all the information that helps you figure out, the publisher and everything else. So then you come in, the date that you read that chapter, you put in the title of the textbook and then also the chapter that you read. You could also include the pages if you wanted to. The publishing information, and then the name of the author. And some books have overall book authors, and they have authored everything in the book, and some of them have individual authors for the chapters. And so for that you would put the chapter author if it wasn't the same person. Then say you publish an article, and I know this was published in 2022, but just roll with it. We're going to say it was in 23-24 academic year. So with this, you would pull the information from your article that you published, and then it was in prevention and wellness. It was in my research area or in a research area. You would put the title of the article, and then you would put the information where it was published. So the journal article and all the information about that, and then who the authors were, and one of them being yourself. And so again, I just underlined my own name. Say then you go to a conference, and this is where taking screenshots or photos kind of helps, so that way you can remember, like, hey, this pertains to my contemporary expertise. So just a little bit ago, I went to SPATS in South Padre Island, Texas. It's an awesome conference if you haven't ever been. It occurred in early June of 2024, and I attended a lecture that was really about nutrition and prevention of individuals having nutrition issues, and how we can look into those with food insecurities. And so just take a screenshot of this information from her really good lecture, and then you would put that in. So I attended on June 7th. It was a training course in CEU activity. This was the title of her talk. It was at SPAT, South Padre Island, Texas, and Dr. Roberta Anding is who gave the talk. Lastly, to put something where others might be attending, say you go to an advanced track or a workshop where maybe this is separate from a conference. This happens to be occurring just prior to NATA in 2024. So again, you just get all the information from that. Take a screenshot, take a photo, whatever, so that way you make sure you have that information. You know that it's from NATA and the date that it is occurring. You know the authors and or actually in this case the presenters and the title of their talk, and so you would be able to put this in. So this is about rehabilitation, the date that you attend it. It's going to again be a training course in CEU, and then we come in here, put the title, when or where it's happening, and then the people who are presenting. And so this is what this table that I made to help guide people looks like. You would take this information and then you would apply it to this particular table. So you would go back to the contemporary expertise table. You put in your name. I'm faculty and also the clinical education coordinator. We're talking about the year 2023 to 2024, and I chose for my contemporary expertise topics to be prevention and wellness and rehabilitation. Again, 1 to 2, no more. Okay, 1 to 2 of those. And then you just start filling in the information. So the dates that you did it, again, notice that these are in numeric order or calendar order, and they can start anytime in the summer or in the fall, and then come all the way around and then end in the spring or again in the summer if you want. These are drop down, so you would select what these are from each one. So you'll notice that there's a little arrow and you can click on it, and then it'll give you one of those selections. And then as you enter this information, you could just copy and paste it into these cells. So that way you make sure that you have everything. What we were finding in the past was that people were just submitting NATA 2020, or they were just submitting the title and nothing else. But the CAATE won't accept that. They actually are requiring us to submit all of this information. So notice on this top one, this is all the information that we had previously talked about. So I'm an assistant athletic trainer, Augustana University, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and I'm covering football and softball. And that's my clinical practice area. For my research, I put in the title of the talk, where it happened, when it happened, and who gave the presentation. And I put my name in bold because I was one of the people who gave the talk. And then that, instead of being a CEU opportunity, is a research area because it is something that I presented and it came from something that I had done. For other things, you can see how I went through. So the title of it, who gave it, and then I included the website in here since it was an online type of area. So these things, just looking through them, hopefully this makes sense. The other thing that I do want to point out is you can delete off this top area. This was just the example that they had on there, so certainly you're not expected to submit their basic work. If you forget to delete it off, it's no big deal. I will certainly know that that wasn't something that you did because it comes on the form, but you can go ahead and do that if you want to. So anyway, thanks so much. Let me know if you have questions. This is my email address, and I really hope that this helps y'all figure this stuff out a little bit. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.